Hi guys, my name is Harrison Fleeg. This is my first floor presentation. I'm going to be talking about the paper or article Demystifying the Dissertation Proposal by Leonard Cassuto. Um, so what this paper is really about is, as the title implies, writing dissertation proposals and largely separating the proposal from the dissertation and how they are functionally different. So the first part really breaks down what a dissertation proposal is and what it does, because in order to understand how to write an effective proposal, you need to understand what a proposal is doing. So basically what an effective proposal really does is it receives approval and gets passed on to the next step in the dissertation. He also breaks down some hard sciences such as biology or chemistry. When you write your dissertation proposal, it's also going to be taken as a bit of a contract between you and your advisor, saying like, this is the research I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do it, and a relative time frame maybe to that research. And then on your advisor's half, it also guarantees your funding and grants, basically. Uh, so what he breaks down after a little bit of what it is, he really takes it apart from what it's not, and so namely, it's not an essay and it's not an abridged dissertation. It's definitely not an essay and it's not an abridged dissertation, mostly because a proposal isn't trying to prove a thesis statement or a hypothesis or an idea you have. It's mostly just trying to throw the fact that there is an argument or an idea to be pursued out there. So main thing that or analogy that he used throughout this paper is that when you're writing your dissertation proposal, you want to be more of cartographing or mapping your argument, while the actual dissertation is where you build and create the world that is the microcosm of your expertise or your argument. Um, so then he starts really diving into what a proposal really is at the root of it. Um, and what a proposal really is it's putting forth your argument, it's describing how your argument fits together, and it's providing a brief outline of your methodology to explain how you might accomplish proving or disproving the existence of your argument. Um, and so another key part about writing a proposal and piecing together your argument and describing your argument is throughout the description of your argument and piecing it together, you also want to bring in aspects of what your field and your discourse communities in that field are and really involve yourself, because as a piece of your dissertation and what your dissertation is really your entry route or your gateway into the academic community, the scholarly world. So in your proposal, by including discourse communities within the field that you're writing towards, you help integrate yourself as a member of that community, which is the first step of what your dissertation really is. And he really closes out with two kind of large ideas. One he calls the commandment, and the other the postulate. And what his commandment is whenever you're writing proposals, peer review, peer review, peer review. Namely, talk with your advisor. Communication with your advisor is super key when writing proposals. Your advisor will probably written more than you at this point in your career, and will therefore have a lot of experience to share. But also your peers, particularly peers that are semi outside of your field or especially outside of your specific subfield or discourse communities, and getting their feedback on how they interpret your proposal and what they can glean out of it. Because more often than not, your proposal isn't going to be directed towards somebody that's right next beside you in a discourse community or a subfield and is a super specialist. They may be a part of your field if your field is as general as biology. However, they might not be a specialist in the little microcosm that you're trying to create with your dissertation. They probably won't be. That's why your dissertation is happening in the first place, is to establish that microcosm in the first place. So if you can get a peer that has a little less understanding or isn't as close to your subfield as you are, and they can understand your proposal and they could see reason or logic behind your argument, then you probably are on your way to a good proposal. And then the last thing he mentions, i.e., the postulate, is that your proposal is really just a stepping stone in your dissertation, and it's really the first stepping stone. And if you linger too long on it and you spend months trying to hash out a really nice proposal for a solid dissertation, then you might actually end up wasting your time. And your proposal and your actual dissertation or your actual project can be fairly different. So really don't linger on the dissertation or the proposal. Get to the dissertation and the actual project and working things out. Really, as he mentioned very early on, the only point of a proposal is to get approval, kind of by any means necessary. So some questions that I had regarding the reading, namely the first one is towards the author, or Kasuto, the author, and that's throughout the entire paper, it always seemed like he was alluding to some kind of sweet point, as far as how much you've written, how much effort you've put into this proposal, and how much you're just really trying to get on and write the actual dissertation. And my question, I guess, is there like a fairly like noticeable sweet point that you can recognize, or has certain characteristics that you can pick up on, where you know that you've written a good proposal that's going to allow you to proceed into a dissertation that's fairly broad and can have some variability. It isn't super constrained, and you won't have to write another proposal if it changes too much. But on the other hand, it isn't such a beefy proposal and such a beefy project that you're proposing that by the end of it, it's going to take 7 years of grad school and endless brain cells and stress and cortisol um, and then the other question I had regarding this reading was directed towards the class, and I know there's plenty of us in this class that, actually not plenty, there's only a couple, but for those few of us that are prospectively thinking about grad school, did you find some use or some motivation from this paper? And then the last R, or the second R from the ROAR assignment, is recommend, and focuses on the target audience of this paper. And obviously it's largely directed and aimed towards students that are either prospective grad students or are early grad students and just writing their proposals. And depending on what your grad school plan is, you may already have a total dissertation proposal prepared and submitted to an advisor and have an advisor set aside by the time you enter grad school. If it's a little different and maybe you're entering like a lab rotation, then you'll cycle through a couple different labs, work under a couple different advisors, and then by the end of, say, 2 years, pick an advisor and then have to be working on writing a proposal for a dissertation and getting grant money from that chosen advisor. Either which way, the students writing these proposals are early grad students, and that's largely who this paper is written for. Obviously, there is some flexibility to that. We're reading this paper, and it's for an undergraduate composition class, and a project that involves a proposal on that. Other overlaps are mostly like if you have to write a grant proposal, there's a lot of overlap between grant proposal writing and just dissertation and regular proposal writing, namely because grant proposal writing, you want to get it approved and you want to get your money so you can go on and do your research. Just like in dissertation proposal writing, you want to go on, get approved, and go do your dissertation research. Um, so, outside of just people writing their dissertation proposals, this paper does have value for those writing grant proposals and other proposals as well. Hope you enjoyed my roar. This is Harrison Fleeg. I was presenting on Demystifying the Dissertation Proposal by Leonard Cassuto.